Morning. I'm here with another word from God. Today's word is from 1 Samuel. Today's word is coming from 1 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 7 through 14. I'm going to start off by reading. It says, Now Doeg the Edomite, Saul's chief herdsman, was there that day, having been detained before the Lord. David asked Ahimelech, Do you have a spear or sword? A spear or a sword, I'm sorry. The king's business was urgent that I didn't even have time to grab a weapon. Okay, so what's going on is he was in the midst of talking to the priest Ahimelech to receive the things that he needed because he was running away from Saul because he was afraid that Saul would end his life, in which Saul was trying to kill him. So he went to Ahimelech and he asked for food and weapons for his journey because he knew that Saul was going to be trying to come at him on every end. So in this sentence, he saw Doeg, the Edomite. He was basically, he probably wasn't following David. He just saw him and where he was going, and he went up afar so that he could see and look into what it was that David was doing. And so when he saw him talking to the priest, he tried to hurry away to get to Saul, but God had detained him. Detained meaning to hold back, to slow down, or to keep from proceeding. So God raised up against him to stop him from being able to go and turn Saul in. Doeg, it means careful, who acts with uneasiness, worry, or anxiety. And at that time, both David and Doeg was working with uneasiness and anxiety and worry. Doeg, because if he didn't turn David into Saul, Saul would have killed Doeg himself. So he knew that. He was afraid. And by God's hand detaining him and keeping him from getting to Saul, it made him even more anxious and worried. But David, because he knew he didn't have much time, and he knew where Doeg was going when he saw him. But it led to Ahimelech being killed, murdered by Saul, because Saul felt like Ahimelech betrayed him. But anyway, I'm going to continue to read. And I only have the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, the priest replied. It is wrapped in the cloth behind the ephod. Take that if you want it, for there is nothing else here. There is nothing like it, David replied. Give it to me. So David escaped from Saul and went to King Achish of Gath. But the officers of Achish were unhappy about his being there. Isn't this David, the king of the land? They asked. Isn't he the one the people honor with dancing and singing? Saul has killed his thousands and David his 10,000s. David heard these comments and was afraid of what King Achish of Gath might do to him. So he pretended to be insane, scratching on the doors, drooling down his beard. Finally, King Achish said to his man, Must you bring me a madman? We already have one of them here. Why should I let someone like this be my guest. And so, which brings me to, God is getting ready to what it is that I'm preaching on today. God is getting ready to open up the door that your enemies will not be able to shut. When you walk through that door that he is opening up for you, do not fear. Do not be afraid. Do not let people who come up against you make you feel like it's too much for you to handle, to the point where they place so much oppression on you that you feel like you have to quit. You can't do it. But this is a door that you inquired of God for. You asked for it, and he opened up the door. He made a way for you to enter in. And when you got there, everything was not how you thought it was going to be. And so now you want out. But you asked God for this, and he opened it for you. David was afraid. David didn't ask God for the position. God chose him and anointed him to be king in place of Saul. But David, because of his fear of what, as I said in verse 10, when he went around King Achish, he began to hide the very anointing. He thought like he would, people would look at him and not be able to recognize him as to who he was. He decided to pretend to be something that he wasn't. And he was recognized by somebody in the crowd. And when they recognized him, David began to pretend to be something that he was not. But they knew it was him. And so when I say that, you can't hide who God has called you to be. I don't care where you are. I don't care how many people you are around. People are going to know that you are God's, because there's a light on you that shines forth. It cannot be hidden. I have been in places to where at one point in my life, I tried to fit in with people. And no matter what, I could not fit in. I tried to even pretend to be interested in the things that they were interested in because I wanted to fit in. I really wanted to be like them. But no matter what I tried, I could not fit in. And I was pushed out. So what God is saying is the door that he is opening up for you, be who he has called you to be. Do not get weary when things seem to go out of control or when things don't look like they're going to be all that you thought it was going to be. Stay firm, because the enemy's job is to keep you from reaching what God has for you to reap in the very place that he has called you to. The enemy will come up against you and oppress you so hard to the point where you feel like you will not be able to complete what you started. That is his job. That is his duty. He wants you to fail. He wants you to concentrate on the negativity that surrounds you in the place where God called you to, so that you will never be able to see or to reach your purpose. When you are walking into your purpose, people are always not going to agree with you. Some people will fall off, but don't feel offended or find yourself trying to change from who God has called you to be to win people over. There are so many people, they start off preaching, but because at first it didn't bring in the people as quickly as they were thinking, so they threw in the towel. There are some people who started a new job They didn't catch on to things as fast as they thought that they were going to be able to catch on to. So they felt like this was not the position for them. So they threw in the towel and possibly missed something there that God wanted them to reap, but they were afraid. So the enemy tortured them, tormented them. You asked for days off, and the enemy went against it. You know why? To push you out, to keep you from getting to what God has for you to get there. And you should begin to ask yourself, when the enemy is coming up against you so hard, why do you think that? Because where you are, there is purpose. So the enemy's job is to keep you from getting to what God has for you. The enemy wants to apply so much pressure on you to the point where you just say, I quit. I'm not going to continue. I can't do it. This is a race that is too much for me. And as I said, people are going to fall off. People are not going to understand your calling. But don't try to change who you are to fit in. For it is said in Matthew 5, verse 14, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hilltop cannot be hidden. So just like David tried to fit in with the crowd and blend in, and somebody noticed who he was, that's just how it's going to be when you step out on your new job, or when you start walking into the calling God purpose for you. You're not going to be able to hide it. People are going to spot you far off. They're going to know you coming before you even much get there. I don't care what is coming up against you. I don't care what they are saying to you. Stand firm. There is something there that is for you to get. Stand firm until you get it. Don't allow the enemy to come up against you so hard to where you feel like you will not be able to complete it. The only difference with David is he knew that he was going to be king. He knew that he had a purpose, but Saul was coming up against him so hard. It wasn't necessarily that David was afraid of Saul. David knew that if he killed Saul or touched Saul, that he would have sinned against God, because even though Saul at that time was not right with God, he still was God's anointed. So he couldn't lay hands on him like he wanted to. So instead, he fled from him. The enemy is going to try to come up against you so hard, but because God has called you and you are his, they will not be able to lay a hand on you until you complete the very thing that God has sent forth for you to do. They're going to try to come up against you. They're going to try to cause you harm. But remember that the Bible says no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you, God shall condemn. He didn't say the weapons would not try to form, but what he told you is that they would not prosper. So push through, stand firm. Do not allow the enemy to push you out. They are going to come up against you at all types of angles, but stand still until you see what God has for you. How are you going to be able to see what God actually has for you there if you come on and problems don't begin to arise and you leave? How are you going to get it? And then you don't know how long it's going to take for you to be able to get to that next door. You don't know how long it's going to take for you to be able to get to your next purpose. You don't know. Because every time it opens, you quit. And this is something that you asked for. God is giving it to you. Or God has given it to you. Maybe you're somebody who's in a place right now, that door has been open. You're walking in it. You asked for it. You inquired of God for it. And he gave it to you. And now you don't need it anymore. Again, you don't know how long it's going to take for you to get to that next door. You don't know how it's going to be if you get to that next door and it's open. You don't know how long it's going to be before you're able to walk into what God has purposed for you. You don't know how long. All you can do is stand firm and wait. It's the enemy's job to discourage you. It's the enemy's job to push you out. It's the enemy's job to not give in to everything that you want. Sometimes it's the Lord seeing if you're going to actually hold on to what you asked for. Can he trust you with holding on to the very door that you are asking for him to open up? Will you be able to surely last and see it through to the end? Without allowing distractions and discouragement to ease in? Who cares about what people are saying? Who cares about how hard the enemy comes up against you? Who cares if people don't always agree to what it is that you say? Stand firm. See it through until the end. Don't allow anxiety to creep in. Don't allow worry to creep in. Don't allow yourself to wonder what it would be like at another company. Stick to what God has told you to do until he says leave. Because again, you don't know how long it's going to take to walk into that next door. You don't know what all you're going to have to face to get to this next door. I guarantee if you stand firm to the place where God has called you to, see it through until the end, I guarantee you there is something there that you shall surely reap. And the enemy is coming up against you so hard to the point where you will not want to reap it. You're just going to throw in a towel. You're just going to give up and you're just going to leave. And that is exactly what he wants you to do. I don't know about you all, but when I get to my open door, I'm going to stand firm. I'm not going to throw in the towel. I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not just to fit in or just to get a position. No, because man is not the one that's making this way open for you. Remember, you inquired of God. You asked God for this position. Man is not going to be your door opener. God is your door opener. And remember that. You go to him. You ask him, and he will make a way. Don't lose sight as to the very reason as to why he called you in the first place. God knows your heart. He knows your dreams, and he knows your desires. He knows your passion. If you begin to actually step out into the door he opened up for you that you inquired of him for, and you begin to lose sight of your very passion, it's not too late. Get your passion back for what it is that you do. Remember, it's something that you enjoy doing. And God opened up that door and he made a way for you to be able to walk through it. You can't be afraid. You can't get discouraged. Who cares if it doesn't start working out at first? Continue to push through. You don't know what God is going to do for you. You don't know what door he is going to open for you. You don't know what amazing things he has on that other side for you. You just have to stand firm and see how it plays out. But if you get to every door that opens for you and you walk in and you're nitpicking and you're looking for a reason to quit, how will you ever be able to see what it is that you want? And God knows you want it. He's going to open it up for you. How will you ever get there to that point when you always throw in the towel? I haven't been like that since my teenage days. I never gave anything an opportunity. I used to walk in and just, something ain't right. I quit. Oh, it's too messy. I'm gone. I can't. I ain't got time for all that drama. I'm gone. Nobody ain't gonna stop me. I quit. Bye. But now when we're getting older, and some of us, we know we have responsibilities, but we don't let that stop us from doing what we feel needs to be done at that time. I'll find another job. But you don't know how long it's gonna take. All you know is I'll find another job. You don't know how long it's gonna take before you get to that next door, and then you walk into that next door, and here is more trouble there waiting on you than the one God had opened up for you the first time. And then you, oh man, I should have seen how this matter was gonna be handled. I should have played it through just to see. Man, I should have stayed there. They was going to give me the pay I had. I mean, everything. Man, I got there and I couldn't handle all that mess. It was too stressful. It just got to be too overbearing and I left. Girl, how much they was paying you? $27 an hour. What? And how much you making now? Oh, no. You should have stayed at that door, baby. Oh, no. I don't know what you was thinking. Why did you leave them? It's the enemy's job to push you out and to discourage you where you will not want to continue. That's their duty. But you don't have to worry. That door is opening. Just like God did Doeg. He held him on. He dismayed him, held him back to where he wasn't able to proceed because he was an enemy who was trying to come up against David to have David killed by Saul. So God is holding off your enemies to where you will be able to walk through the door he has for you without any holdbacks. But when you get through that door, stand firm. Have a good day, you all. Talk to you in the morning. God say the same.